Welcome. Well, it's no secret that I love games very much. A lot of my favorite games are very niche. The only reason I know about them is because I sift through Steam page looking for cool new games because a lot of mainstream stuff just doesn't hit the spot. So here I'm going to tell you 8 of my favorite early access games that I recommend you get into right now. Number 1 is a fairly heavy hitter that I'm sure most people have heard about. This is Valheim. Go around, you build stuff, Viking roleplay, hang out with your buddies, go solo, sail the high seas. Here's my review I made about a couple years ago. Viking Fantasy Sandbox Adventure. The exploring is nearly unmatched, especially with the random gen worlds. The first time you find a new biome or settle on your ship into the deep blue is unparalleled to any adventure game in a long time. The combat is decent. Third person, primary attack, secondary attack, block, parry, roll. So far I'm on the 4th boss and haven't died, so the people who say it's difficult do not know how to cook food and upgrade their gear. The graphics are cartoony, but in my opinion, it is nice that they didn't go with the hyper-realistic look like most games nowadays. Many different biomes, a large world, many enemies and weapons and armor to collect. With up to 10 people on a server, this small team of developers has done a better job than most big studios can do nowadays. Fairly consistent updates with big plans.
Have been peaceful since I first arrived here, and it would be
They're working on it. This game is coming out 1.0 very soon, so you don't have to worry about, oh, are they actually working on it? Are they trying to steal
so
our
far
money?
the
No,
wildlife doesn't
they're
appear to care
definitely
much
not.
for my presence here.
It's a small team, they're doing their best.
I
And
should be
it's
able to
pretty
gather
damn
some
good.
valuable resources from them if I need to.
Number 2 is another fantastic game, which I would describe as Arthurian Skyrim. This is Tainted Grail, Fall of Avalon. They've been doing pretty fat updates as well. They're already on 0.9, so 1.0 is coming out very soon. I haven't played it for a couple years because I've been waiting for that juicy 1.0 to come out. And I really love the art style of this game. It's kind of Lovecraftian, Arthurian, very dark, with kind of Elder Scrolls-y combat. Here's my review I made a couple years ago. So far, it feels like Skyrim with a darker setting. I'm excited to see what the devs will add and improve in the future. So far, the voice acting is very decent, much better than 80% of all the other games coming out these days. I think the combat is better than Skyrim because there's much more weight in the swings and impacts. Once everything gets polished up, it'll be much better than Elder Scrolls Combat. Patch 0.6. See, I haven't played since 0.5.6. Performance has increased quite a lot. Still absolutely horrendous though on a 3070 Ryzen 9 590 at 2K. Although overall I'm very happy with this update. I haven't seen everything yet, of course, but so far I'm very impressed. Improved visuals, physics on clothes and hair, new items, new locations, new NPCs. If they keep adding this much every point one, this could be very well become the new proper Elder Scrolls 6. The writing is way better than AAA. Voice acting is way better than AAA. No wokeness. Only one chapter region available at the moment. So I know they've added lots of stuff. You can check that out. But a lot of people saying the performance is better, all that. But I'm waiting for 1.0 to get into this. So I'm sure it's improved a lot in 2 years. I can't believe it's already been 2 years. That's great. Number 3, I would describe as Diablo meets Dark Souls. The parry, the rolls, creating your weapons, adventures with the isometric view. No rest for the wicked. Some screenshots of my adventures. They got funny little item description: stained with the mud of the fields, the blood of their enemies, and the occasional shit smear of a mistimed respite. Really great graphics. Isn't even maxed out either because the performance was kind of bad in the beginning, but it's much better. I have still haven't played this one for a while, about a year. They're updating, they're working on it. I mean, it's not as fast as we would like, but it's a really beautiful game, lots of fun. For a isometric Souls-like, it's very easy. I mean, maybe they made it harder, but I do have some videos up on my page. You can check it out. I was just mowing through the bosses. But I hear the Crucible is quite difficult, but we'll see about that. My review I wrote about a year or so ago. I've had my eye on this ever since it was announced. So far, I'm loving the art style and the physics on everything. The combat is classic and the story seems average, but compelling enough. Why I'm giving it a bad review is the performance is absolutely horrible. This is a very common problem for 3040 series GPUs, apparently. Hopefully they fix it ASAP so I can update on my review and actually enjoy the game. Edit after day 2. So I've been playing it a bit more. Beat the first boss. So far, I am just loving the atmosphere and combat. The setting is dark and grim, and the combat is punishing but rewarding. I can't stress enough how awesome the physics are. The rain, the grass, the rocks, the foliage, the fire, the corpses, etc. It's so cool. More games need to have these types of physics. They just dropped their first hotfix and changed just about everything within reason the community was complaining about, which is a good sign that they care. Hopefully they don't nerf too much, but I have high hopes for this game, even though the performance is still absolutely abysmal. RTX 3070 mobile, Ryzen 9 getting 2060 FPS on performance at 1080. They say they are focusing on performance fixes as we speak, so we will see. Edit. This was a couple weeks later, I don't remember. So I guess I forgot to update this. Oops, yeah. The performance was pretty good last time I checked a few updates ago, so I'm sure it's much better now. I was playing at 1440 for a fairly stable 60, so yeah, it got much better. Much, much better. Wasn't playing at ultra though, maybe low medium, but as I said, I haven't played in over a year. Number 4 is another Skyrim, like you could say, but in reality, it's more like Arx Fatalis. You're underground, it's an RPG. You can break stuff, loot stuff, level up, kill stuff. What I really liked is they had some physics, and this is only one guy doing this. So if you can imagine that only one guy is doing this, you just appreciate it that much more, you know. And a lot of the destructible, they don't disappear. A lot of new games will disappear for a performance, but I really like that this doesn't. So you can break stuff and watch the destruction. Good graphics. I haven't played it in a while. A lot of weight to the swings. You can be sneaky, you can be magic, you can be a warrior, all that good stuff. This was my review about a year ago. This is literally modern day Arx Fatalis. For those who don't know what Arx Fatalis is, it is one of the best underrated RPGs ever. Look it up, then play it. I really love the physics and how if you break some boards or a pot, they stay. Same with the bodies. I'm sick of games coming out these days and everything disappears instantly. I cannot stress that enough. That is, I'm gonna die on that hill. For being day 1 of early access, it seems very polished, although it still needs some work, obviously, frame jobs, bugs, etc. And then I just say my thing. Number 5 is another isometric zombie slang with light RPG elements, kind of like Project Zomboid, but this one has physics. This has a lot of potential to be a more casual Project Zomboid with better graphics and proper physics. As of right now, it needs a lot of work. The base is there, it just needs to be built up. You can build, craft, drive vehicles, fish, etc. One thing that screams unfinished to me is just how boring the environment is. You walk into a house and there's some garbage on the floor and a cabinet and a toilet. That's it. Or walking in the forest and it's just grass and a tree. No rocks, bushes, or other types of flora. I'm sure they will fix that. Also, the performance gets quite spotty when sprinting, which is normal, but not for an isometric game like this with such a bland environment and a few actors on the screen. I'm sure it'll be fixed in the future. I'd say pick it up now while it's cheap before the price goes up closer to 1.0. I do prefer Project Zomboid's depth, but there aren't any physics. To me, that's 90% of the fun of a zombie game is popping heads and dropping corpses. No physics in Zomboid, so I'm putting all my hopes in Humanity. One comment from the developer. So these guys care. You know, they're still updating it quite frequently. Little hot fixes all the time. So they're working hard on it. I don't have any screenshots, so I'll just show a couple other people's screenshots. So yeah, just isometric zombie game. Kind of like a casual zomboid, as I said. And that guy's making penises. Gray Zone Warfare, which I made a couple videos of, so if you would like to check those out, please do. I would describe it as Escape from Tarkov in a Ghost Recon Wildlands set. Played this pretty recently. Not too many hours. They're coming out with 3.0 very, very soon. And they're going to be wiping it again. So be aware that they're going to be wiping it. Obviously, any looter shooter like this is going to get wipes. Here's my review. The best milsim I've ever played. The extraction bit is already 10 times more immersive than Tarkov because there are no instance raids, one big map to explore, and just return whenever you see fit. Of course, there are performance issues, bugs, and imbalances. It's only 30% finished, so if it's this awesome already, I think it'll be the best milsim extraction shooter in a couple years. So far, I've been playing solo, and it's as long as you sneak, use cover, flank, and come prepared, it's really not too bad. Sometimes the AI will see you through walls, foliage, and headshot you after 0.25 seconds of seeing you, but I'm sure that'll be fixed eventually. Yes, the devs know about that, you know, they're working on it. At first, I was not happy because I thought the upscaling was forced. After trying to play for more than 20 minutes, my eyes started to hurt, and eventually it would develop into a full-blown cluster headache, ending my day. Luckily, the INI files are tweakable, so the upscaling can be disabled. Thank God. The performance is a bit worse, obviously, but I can actually play the game now without getting basically stabbed in the eye after 20 minutes. It's totally worth the performance hit and slightly more jaggies. Turn on FXA override times 8 if you can. That's in NVIDIA control panel. Number 7, I'm sure you've heard of this one as well, is Forever Winter. It's a very good game. Another looter shooter, you go in, take it out, post-apocalypse. Really awesome game. Here's some screenshots I took. You can see very dark and dreary, kind of like post-apocalypse, Terminator, robots, different characters, different guns, upgrades. Really good, but the performance is probably the worst out of all these games I've mentioned. But again, I haven't played this game for about a year, so maybe it's a bit better now. Here's my review, and it's short and sweet, this one. Post-apocalypse, solid gunplay, unique atmosphere, no forced PvP, base developers. So far, the developers have been pretty chill dudes, and they are updating it. They communicate with the community pretty well on Discord. They're working on it. People are putting thousands hours in it already, and it's not even a quarter done yet. Last but not least, this one is Bellwright. This game is pretty awesome. It's like a RPG, but more based in reality. Medieval, very immersive. You can build your towns, feed your people, clothe your people, fight, directional combat, explore. Here's my review from about a year ago. So far, it's been a great experience, and I have the feeling I've barely scratched the surface. There's a bit of a learning curve in the village management systems, but once it's mastered, it seems like you'll never have to do any of those pesky survival mechanics yourself. Yeah, you can kind of delegate that boring stuff to your people once you learn how to do that. So it's really not too bad. One thing about survival game is the constant crafting, cooking, repairing, building, etc. Well, not with this game. Once you tell your people what to do, they will be about 90% autonomous, which is awesome because you can focus on what's great, in my opinion, about this game, the combat. I love directional combat. It's grounded to be slightly more realistic, but arcadey enough to not be too challenging. It's easy to pick up, but hard to master. I wish more games had directional attacks with blocks. Instead of the boring button mashing, instead of a parry, you have a chamber, which feels more realistic and engaging because it can keep the flow of combat and is more in line with proper sword fighting. For people who don't know who a chamber is, that's when you swing your sword right when their sword's about to connect with you, and it glances their sword off, preventing them hitting you, but you hit them. That's a chamber. So kind of like a more realistic parry and riposte instead of the Dark Souls boom stab bullcrap. The graphics are just very simple but beautiful. The snow and rain and the sunny skies are all a joy just to look at. Of course, it's early access, so the performance is very poor, and it's another game that's totally unoptimized because they just assume everybody can stomach DLSS. It's still playable at 1440 on medium for 30-40 FPS, 30 to 50 FPS. Even if I start at 1080 and lower all the settings, it will still dip into the 30s sometimes. Another clear sign that the engine is not using all the PC's resources. Overall, I'd give the game an 8 as a 10 as is. Once they hopefully polish up everything, it'll be a solid 9. If they actually finish it, apparently this developer and publisher combo have a history of not finishing early access titles. It could be a 10 if you like sandbox adventure action RPG with town building mechanics. Yeah, this is the only game I'd be worried about. I don't remember these guys' names, but they do have a history of not finishing their games. They still make good games, but they're just not as popular as people would like because they take more skill than other games do. So many people were complaining about the directional combat was too hard and stuff, and as you can see from my review, it's not hard at all. It's just you need to use your brain a little bit. They're putting out updates, but they're not really. See, 2 months, and this is just a couple things, So this one I'd be kind of wary of, but it's still good. They got achievements. You can still play. You can still do stuff. Like it's a full game already. I think it's just they really have a lot of plans for it. See, that's a bad take. Don't listen to that. But there's that. Yeah, you can have animals. Like you can have armies. Like it's an epic game. It's basically like a third person kind of RTS. Thank you everybody for watching. I'm glad you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the games, if you played them, what you think about them, and if there's any other cool games you think I might like. we can all have a dialogue about it. And if anybody's interested to see what else is in my library, I would love to share. Peace.